Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello there, folks. And here we are again, and we have a special guest today, Miss Philippa Mathewson. And she's a director of Transient. And believe it or not, they're based in India. And it's the first time we've had somebody on being interviewed from India. So you're one of a first for us. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dave.
We met by accident online, didn't we, a little while ago, and we just got chatting. And I thought it would be good if we sort of got together, did an interview, because I was quite interested after I looked at your website with some of the things that you did. So tell me a bit about Transient and how you help your clients.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, Dave, I'd like to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on here today. It really is a privilege to be speaking to you. And I just want to clarify something, if you don't mind. When you said that we met online, I don't want anybody getting any funny ideas about that.
Yeah.
It was through a business channel that we actually met. Fantastic. So, to tell you a little bit about Transient. Transient, we partner with organisations, business owners and individuals, really to help them create an engaging development culture within their organisation. And that obviously leads on to helping them achieve their business goals and their success. And we kind of do this through a variety of different ways. We work in three major fields. One is around employee engagement and culture. One of them is around empowerment of women and helping women development. And the other one is leadership development. And ultimately, we kind of have our vision, and we have a 3-word vision, which is engage, develop, and grow. That's what we believe in. And whether that be an individual, whether that be a business owner for himself or herself or for the organization, or whether it be teams or even large organizations, it's all about engaging, developing and growing. So what we offer is kind of consultancy services and customized programs that actually allow organizations or individuals or teams to achieve that.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah. What's the outcome that your clients want to achieve when they engage you? What's the main outcome? Okay.
The main outcome that our clients want to achieve is ultimately to improve their profits for their organization. That is the ultimate goal, and that's the ultimate deliverable that we can actually help them with. Now, how we go about that will actually depend on the client, the needs and the pain points that they actually have. So ultimately what we do is we help organizations increase their profits, their bottom line.
Good. So as with most consultancy, then people like you and me usually get called in when they have a problem, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So what are the sort of problems that your people experience?
Oh, well, it's all kinds of things. By people, you mean clients, yeah?
Clients, yes.
So I'm going to kind of hit you with a bit of a fact here. I've recently just found out, and it's kind of new, hot off the market. And according to the Gallup's latest research and report that they've actually done, 85% of employees are not engaged with their organizations. Which means, obviously, the flip of that is that only 15% of people are engaged. Now, some of the kind of stats and problems that they have is around, as I mentioned earlier, attrition. That is one big problem, and particularly in India with the organizations that we work with, annualized attrition can be as high as 40-45%.
Really?
Yeah, very high. And therefore, that is probably a big area that they focus on, because that is such a high area of losing money for them, bringing people on board. And most people leave the organization within the first 6 months of joining. So that is a big hole in a bucket where money is just being poured down the drain, just bringing people in. If nearly 50% of an organisation leaves before they reach the 6-month stage, that is a massive problem. So that is a pain point that a lot of our clients understand well. It's an easy one for them to understand. So yes, another pain point for organisations is absenteeism, where they have people who are not coming into work at all, calling sick for no reason. And an interesting point that you won't know about India is that we don't have a sick leave system like we do in the UK. So people are normally allowed, and it varies from state to state in India, but are allowed 15 days, sick days a year. Now, what that means is that a lot of people take sick days like a holiday.
Yeah.
So it doesn't go down as sick; it goes down as just a leave day. So people think that they're entitled to those 15 days a year and adds them onto their personal holiday allowance. So that is a big problem for organisations. But until they actually study that and see the reports and actually measure it, it's very difficult for them to see it. Another thing that is a hidden benefit for them are things like increased customer satisfaction and increased sales. Right. So the latest reports have also shown that in organisations where they do focus on employee engagement, staff satisfaction customer satisfaction levels will rise as much as 28 to 30%. When employees are actually actively engaged in the organisation itself.
That's quite a jump, isn't it?
Huge jump.
Yeah.
Huge jump.
What do you feel are the biggest myths out there when it comes to helping your clients?
I've got a few for you, Dave, so I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
The first one is that satisfied or happy employees are engaged employees. That's the biggest myth. And the reason being is that if I can just kind of go back a little bit and explain what engagement is. Employee engagement is all about the employee being engaged, not just with the head, but also with the heart.
Yeah.
They're there because not they have to be there, but because they want to be there. I always say that the values and beliefs and the vision of the organisation are in the employee's DNA. Literally, if you cut open their veins, the colour of the organisation, whether it be blue, green, or whatever colour the organisation's colour is, that's the colour of the blood that will come out. It really is in their DNA. And they are actually, an engaged employee gives that discretionary effort to the company. So it's like when they don't have to be asked to do things. They don't, they're the first. Engaged employees are always the first to put their hand up and go, I want to do this, or I've seen an opportunity here, or I want to innovate here. There's a great opportunity to make something better. They're really connected to the heart of the organisation. So going back to the greatest myth that engaged employees are happy employees or satisfied employees, that's so not true. Because an employee can be happy sitting all day at work doing nothing. You can make somebody happy a team happy by buying them pizzas every Friday. That doesn't mean to say that they're going to be connected with the organisation with their heart. They're only going to be connected with their head, which is normally the salary that is paid at the end of the day. So a lot of people get satisfaction and happiness muddled up with employee engagement. A couple of others that I'd kind of like to share with you as well is that engagement is something that you can buy. It's a perk. A lot of companies think the more perks that we throw at our employees, the more engaged they will be. That is a load of rubbish. I know plenty of organizations who spend so much money on their employees through perks and initiatives, and the employees are no more engaged. They'll a little blip, But, the biggest thing to build in is sustainability, and they won't have that sustainability. And the third thing that I would like to just throw into the mix here about another myth is that leaders are inherently engaged. Now, one of the biggest reasons for disengagement in the workplace are the leaders themselves. And the number one reason why leaders are employees are not engaged with the leaders is because of the lack of trust that they have in the leader. So just because you're a leader doesn't necessarily mean that you're engaged. It's a case of how engaged are you with the organisation? How engaged are you with your people? And in fact, it's the leadership teams that are the pivot, if you will, of what will make engagement happen, that magic happen or not happen.
Yeah.
So there's 3 for you.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 key ones, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, so we've looked at some of the myths that are out there. So what are the common misconceptions that your clients have? I mean, for example, over here we'd find that a misconception would be that to engage you would be that'd cost far too much, just think of the time it would take, Do you get the same out there, or do you get different? Or
it's exactly the same, and it's the 2 key things is it's going to cost too much, and there's too much time involved in it. And I think the biggest thing that I find, they think we can do it ourselves. Now the biggest challenge they face, and in every organisation I've spoken to about employee engagement specifically, is that I can do it myself. I can engage with my people. The intention is always there, but it's the follow through and the sustainability that goes out the window. And the biggest thing that I'm passionate about with the organizations that I work with is I want to build sustainability for them. I see a success story where I can walk away and I can actually see it still happening. Organizations still keep me coming in maybe for half a day a month or a day every couple of months from a governance point of view. But it doesn't have to be. And the majority, I would say 70% of the employee engagement initiatives that I work with organizations cost very, very little money. And so much of it is low-hanging fruit. Quite often the organisations can't see the wood for the trees.
Yes.
They literally can't see out of the hole that they're in, and there's lots of low-hanging fruit that they can do there. And there's many organisations that I've worked with where it's hardly cost them an awful lot, and I've been able to get an engagement plan up and running for them. Understand what the problem is, understand what their pain points are, adopt and make a plan that is tailored, bespoke for them, because that is key. It's not one shoe that fits all. Absolutely. Every organisation has a different need, and it has a different culture, has different vision and values, as you know. Yeah. And then it's about seeing where are those opportunities? What can we put in place today, almost today, if not tomorrow? And what are the things that are going to take a little bit of time to actually build that sustainability plan for them? And I personally consider myself a failure if the sustainability isn't there.
Yeah, I can understand that. We seem to be running along in parallel lines, the way things happen out there as to how we find them over here. We've talked about the misconceptions and things like that, and so that what sort of fears do you find that they have before they meet you?
Before they meet me, they normally, to be quite honest with you, they wouldn't call or recognize what they need is employee engagement.
Right.
They wouldn't see that. And normally they get me in. Most of my work is done through referrals. And they normally get me in to see what I can do. and 9 times out of 10, it's employee engagement or company culture, which are kind of the two biggies. The biggest fear is that they, I suppose, two fears. One, they won't see a return on their investment. That is one big fear, that, not only, Philippa, are you going to cost me money, but it's going to cost me money to put a plan in place. So it's like a double whammy of there. So there's a fear there. But also that they won't see a return on their investment. But it doesn't take long, actually, Dave, to work with them on a return on investment model and actually show to them and prove to them that by actually doing not a lot, and that's the great thing about employee engagement, that's the magic of it, but that by not doing a huge amount of work or spending a huge amount of money, can you make the biggest of differences?
Mm-hmm. And I take it that process then is how you get them past these fears that they probably have.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do is unpeel the onion. So the first thing that I try and do is I sit and listen to them, and I let them pour out. I just say, "What are your pain points? Tell me if you had a magic wand, what are your pain points that you would magically make disappear for you?" And by understanding those pain points, then what I do is I do some research with the organization. So I don't just, normally I end up meeting with I work a lot with business owners and entrepreneurs. So I normally meet with the owner of the company or his or her leadership team. And I don't just take their word for it. I then ask to speak to some of their people as well. I ask HR for some statistics around attrition rates or whatever they're saying to me, their pain points. What data have they got to back that up? And then from that, understand where they are now, where they want to be. So what would that blue sky world look like for them? And then how we can go about bridging the gap.
Yeah.
And the solutions are not always the same. But I will just slip something in here, Dave. One of the another kind of challenge that a lot of organizations have is that they think that employee engagement sits with HR.
Right.
It doesn't. It sits with the business. It sits with the leadership. It's not an HR problem to solve at all. You need HR to help you, but it's not an HR problem. It's the leadership team's challenge.
There must be some little-known pitfalls or common mistakes that you see amongst those clients.
Yeah.
What are they?
The most obvious one is the lack of follow-through. I see that happen all the time. So I remember going recently into before the current situation that we have in the world, going into an organization, and they said, we have this recognition program, and, we recognize people through stars of the month and all this kind of thing. And we've got this fantastic stars of the month board. And I saw it as I walked through reception to actually meet with the CEO of the organization. And this was in January. I actually met with them, and I said to them, great that you've got this. So, and I said it in the politest possible way, but I'll shorten it for you. I said, so why is the latest Star of the Month of the award on the latest board for October?
Right.
Why? And it's now January. The follow through, the intention is there. The passion behind it is always there. It's just that it's the follow through and building that sustainability plan that sets them up for success. And that's where, I can really support them. And that's where it's like kind of setting them up for success. I call it the light bulb moment or the magic moment.
Yes.
It's that bit where that it's going to continue through, whether you're there now or whether you come back in 5 years' time. It will still be there, maybe in a different shape or form. But because it becomes part of the DNA of the organization, it will survive. It will survive.
And do you find that with leadership teams, or even just leadership in a smaller business, that there's a major tendency to work in the business rather than on the business.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Again, another challenge that I had. I working with another organisation. They were a startup, and startups are great fun to work with. And India, as you probably know, is the land of startups. Yeah. If you haven't got a startup, you're nobody. It really is a prestige point that you have there. What you find is with startups is that they grow. And they grow sometimes quite quickly. So this particular organisation had for about 10 years, it had about 50, 60 people. So it had very much a family type culture. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody could walk up to the owner of the business, could answer, ask them questions. They were very, very available. But over a period of like a year, 18 months, they tripled in size. So the leadership team, the owner built a good leadership team around them, but they were working immersed in the business. It was impossible for them to see the holistic view, the overall view of the organisation. And they were desperate to do something around the culture of the organisation. The leadership team, for example, were very aware of the vision and the values of the organisation. I spoke to the one down from the HR head, and he couldn't even tell me what the vision and values of the organisation were, and they'd been working for the organisation for 8 years. So there's a lot of getting immersed in the organisation and not standing up and having that full view of the organisation to see exactly what is going on, why it's happening, and more importantly, how you can solve that challenge.
It's quite interesting to see how the issues that we find over here with businesses are more or less the same, if not just almost similar. Where you are, all those thousands of miles away. And I find it fascinating because I love to see the culture of a business and really get under the skin of it, and I'm sure you're the same.
Exactly, and you get a lot of misconceptions around culture is just something that happens, and and it's okay for a startup of 4 or 5 people. It's when the organizations start to grow and they go through that growth spurt that it really, really does take effect, and the impact is quite huge. But it's comforting for me. I've not worked in the UK for over 14 years now, so it's really comforting for me to know that the problems are similar.
Oh yeah. I don't think they change very much, and it's one of the things I love to see when that exponential growth goes on is to see managers that say, "Oh, hang on a minute, we're going to need to get somebody else in to do this."
And culturally, of course. Culturally, of course, one of the biggest challenges that we face in this fantastic country that I now call home is that it's seen as a great sense of weakness to ask for help. Great sense of weakness. So many organizations struggle when there really isn't any need for them to do so. And it just takes, a little bit of a helping hand. And I think that's why, I've had the honor and privilege to work with so many, particularly business owners and smaller businesses, small mid-sized businesses, because, they are open to it. And it's one of the things that I love about working with them is because you're working with the business owners so they can make decisions like this.
Yes.
There's no red tape. There's no bureaucracy. There's no sitting on something for 2 months before they will implement it. So, it brings with it, it swings and roundabouts. I guess it's a bit of a seesaw effect. But it's good fun. Yeah,
it's fascinating. And what got you into all of this? What's your backstory? How is it you got where you are now and you do what you do? what inspired you to become a coach, a mentor, a trainer?
Oh gosh, I guess, I mean, going back a million years, I think training had always been in my blood. When I was younger, when I was about 13, 14, I used to ride horses, and I wanted to be a riding instructor. So that was kind of my first kind of thought. I liked to teach. I like to not necessarily teach, but I like to be able to show others or see others shine. And through my career, many years of it, and looking back on it now, I can see that, coaching, mentoring, facilitation has kind of always been in my blood, but I've never really kind of done that role. I think the turning point for me was back in, I'm going to take you back a few years, 1999, when I joined an organisation, and it was a travel organisation that I joined then, and I actually took a backward step from my current role to move in to work with this large organisation, because I wanted to work in contact centres, and I'd been working in retail up to that point. And I was asked to actually take responsibility for an area of the call centre that really was underperforming. Really, really badly. It never made a profit, that part of the organisation. It was selling last minute holidays on, Dave, I'm sure you'll remember teletext. Do you remember teletext?
Yeah.
Way before internet days.
Oh yeah.
And this travel company had this department because they had to have it. Everybody had a department that sold last minute holidays. That's what teletext were an absolute expert at. So I was given this a department of about 60 people. All the people who had failed everywhere else in the contact centre ended up in teletext. They weren't particularly motivated part of the organisation. They were very much there because they had to be there, or they were looking for other jobs or whatever. And I kind of wanted to turn it around. I could see masses of potential. It just needed a little bit of belief, and it's here where I really understood the power of positive thought as well. And we kind of came up with this vision for our department, which was to be the jewel in the crown. And that meant, we would win an award, we would get thanks from the organisation, we would make a profit, we would be seen literally of the shining stars of this very large travel organisation. And I the whole everybody who worked in the department, from the guys on the phones to the managers and everybody, we came up with this vision together. And we used to stand there every morning before the shift starts, holding hands with our eyes closed, and we used to talk about, winning that award, and what would we be dressed like, and what would we wear, and what would the champagne taste like, and can you feel the bubbles popping on your tongue, and what could you smell, what could you see, and we talked about it every single day. And we even adopted a song that kind of stood for our vision, and we invested in development of our people. We didn't invest money in it, but we invested time so that the people were set up for success. And it was there that I really learned the power of, a change in culture, how different a totally disengaged employee could be to a totally engaged employee. And we went on to win the award. It was wonderful, and we celebrated, and it was just the best feeling in my life. And I think it was then that I realized the power that engagement and a culture could have. And since that point in, it was probably 1999, I joined them, year 2000, when it came into fruition, that it was like, this is powerful stuff. And in one shape or form, I've continually used it, although not until my previous organisation that I actually worked for before I became my business owner myself. did I actually then specialize in it and really get to grips with it and understand the science behind it? So it was a life-turning moment. I just love seeing that magic happen when somebody gets it, when, you know, you can't even describe it. I wish I could put it in a bottle and drink it. You know, it's just incredible and so powerful.
It's those lessons that we learn early on that shape and impact on how we deliver now, later on, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. I can't even describe it. I'm so pent up with passion and emotion inside. It's difficult to get the words out, but it's so powerful. It is those lessons. I suppose, talking of lesson, probably the biggest lesson that I learned at that time as well was, you know, one shoe doesn't fit all.
No.
You know, you have to listen. You have to understand. You know, you have to ask questions. You have to really understand the pain points and then build on that. I think too often in life, especially in this world that we live in now, where it's a world of instant gratification, everybody jumps into solution mode too quickly. You know, if we do this, we'll get that. You know, we're in the world of the likes on Facebook, or now hearts or cares on Facebook, or LinkedIn or Insta, or whatever it may be. We're in the world of swipe left if you're not interested, swipe right if you are. It's all instant gratification.
Yeah.
But stuff like this you have to sit down, you have to understand, you have to ask the questions, you have to listen. Understand the pain points, and you know, one solution won't fit everybody.
No, exactly. I think that applies across the board, doesn't it? It's the one denomination factor that is constant.
Yeah.
You know, we always sort of describe ourselves in some respect as educators and advocates for our clients' success, and I can see that comes out in you. How would you say to a potential client the sort of things that they should be looking for in somebody like you to come into their business and help them?
Okay. I would say the first thing is we're not scary people. Okay. We're very nice people, number one. But I think that the vision and values, or particularly the values, have to be consistent. You know, how you are as a person, and the values of the organisation have got to fit. So that one is it. And talking about values, not values, but you know, how is that person going to add value to your organisation? You know, what is it? And I'm sure it's the same in the UK, but over here, you know, you get a lot of people who want to get a lot out of you without actually paying for it. Yeah. But you know, understand the value that they can bring. But most importantly, recognize somebody who is going to add value and build sustainability for you. Because the last thing that you want, particularly if you're, well, even the large corporates and the large organizations don't want to be shelling out money on a regular basis to bring somebody like me into their organization. Look for somebody who's going to build sustainability for you, can show you a return on investment and add value. I think the sustainability, Dave, is really important.
And I think it's important to get them across that concept across to them fairly early in negotiations or conversations, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't, you know, it's part of the return on investment, and it's. I think the also thing is about understanding how flexible you can be. I always say is, look, you know, whether you want a one-day kickstart plan or whether you want a year-long engagement, and every company will want something different. That's okay. And you know, invest because it's worth investment. It's worth investing in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think you put your finger on it before that very often what they don't realize is that you can spend not a lot of money in making things so different, so much.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that they have to do, if you don't spend a lot of money, you have to give the time.
Yeah.
And it's getting them to understand that, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'll give you one of the and your listeners one of the best initiatives that I ever put in place from a recognition part of it. And I always say employee engagement doesn't matter what the organization is. If you do any employee engagement surveys or satisfaction surveys or anything like that, there will be 4 things that come out of it. One will be culture, something around culture. There'll be something there around communication. There'll be something there about development, and there'll be something there about recognition. Now, there may be many, many other things that come out, but you can pretty much, put your life savings on the fact that those 4 are going to come out. Now, from a recognition point of view, one of the best initiatives I helped an organization put in place was because they had no budget. So I helped them put in place an initiative which was things that money can't buy.
Right.
And what we had, it was for like a Star of the Month award type initiative. Yes, they got a little trophy, a little star trophy, but, the organization, and money isn't the answer to everything anyway.
No.
But we came up with this idea of things that money can't buy. So the winner of the award, we gave them a menu. And on it was like 10 different things that they could choose from. So it varied from like spending a day with the member of the leadership team of your choice. So if they wanted to spend the day with the CEO, the owner of the company, they could. Money can't buy that. What does it cost? Nothing. But money can't buy it. If they wanted a parking space at the front of the building, for a month, we'd speak to the admin department, pull a few strings and whatever, and got them to give us a parking space for the month, if that's what the person wanted. We got them to choose the development program of their choice. Or it could be like you can spend 10 hours across the month on paid company time developing yourself. Now, whether that be shadowing somebody or using the internet or whatever it may be. These are all things that money can't buy, but they are really valuable recognition tools.
Indeed.
For people. And that went down so well. I think it's even still going in the organization today. And they've extended the list, even more innovative things, things that money can't buy, which cost nothing, but are priceless.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Okay. Tell me then how, if anybody listening to this, out of the millions that will, of course.
Yay!
Those that are listening and they want to get in touch with you and talk to you about the sort of things that they do, how can they best get in touch with you?
There's several ways, Dave. Probably one of the most convenient ways is that they can connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'm pretty easily found on linkedin.com/in for India /Philippa Mathewson. You'll find me there. So connect with me on LinkedIn is a very easy way for people to connect with me. You can write to me on my email address, which is Philippa, PHILIPPA @transient.com. So that's another way they can connect with me. Or the good old dog and bone, the phone, there's nothing wrong with that. WhatsApp calls are free and all that kind of thing. So they can reach me on my telephone number, which is 0091 987 33 14149. And that's my telephone number and my WhatsApp number. So free calling there as well.
Okay, and presumably they can contact you directly through the website as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The website is transient.com, nice and simple. Any of those ways they can contact me.
Well, Philippa, thank you very much. That's been really interesting, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the talk. I'm sure they'll find it illuminating.
Thank you, Dave. It's been absolutely fabulous to actually talk to you have this opportunity. So, and you know, it's my passion. So there's nothing better than talking about your passion, is there?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And let's do it again in the not too distant future.
Would love that. Thank you so much.
All right. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.